Hello, my name is Jayoung Yoon. I am an interdisciplinary artist using human hair as a primary medium. I was born and raised in South Korea and moved to the USA in 2006. I think the environment where I grew up naturally led me to be an artist. My family members are very talented in arts. My mother is a traditional Korean artist. One of my aunts is a traditional Korean embroidery artist, and another is a ceramic artist, and another is a writer. So I grew up seeing paintings, ceramics, textile, and performance art. I liked drawings and paintings, but especially I loved working with tactile materials. I was drawn to the feeling of texture, temperature, and weight on my hand, like clay and natural material. So I could see early this interest also present in my recent artworks. When I was in college in Korea, every summer I went backpacking through 25 countries: India, Nepal, Thailand, Egypt, and Turkey, and many different European countries. So my travel changed my perception about myself and the world. So I wanted to study abroad for my MFA, so I chose to come to the USA because of the diversity. The most important thing I experienced from art school was art critique. All of my classmates had different perspectives, experiences, and cultural background. So it was really helpful having constructive feedback from all different points of view. It helps me to develop my artworks as an artist. I learned so many valuable things in Korea, in art school in Korea, but I wish there is more of an emphasis on critiques in my classes at the time. It was almost 16 years ago, so it might be different now. Using hair making art is not typical in Korean culture, but I think my visual elements come from my cultural background. Koreans often say 선이 곱다, meaning that line is beautiful. It can be used in any different parts of art forms, such as ceramics, architecture, and clothing. I think Koreans have an instinctual ability to appreciate gentle curved line in various parts. Also, one of my aunts who lived with my family was a traditional Korean embroidery artist. So I grew up watching her working on embroidery with lots of colorful threads. So threads were a part of my aesthetic consciousness. So when I attended MICA, I used thread to make installation work. I created metaphorical space, exploring the connection between physical body and spiritual growth. I was wondering how our painful memories possibly transform into spiritual growth. And I found that being fully present is a key to begin with. Being present means being fully present, being fully aware of the present moment. So it is often engaged with all the sense perceptions. So I started to think of the body as a tool for cleansing memory through the physicality of the present. And then I went to the fiber program at Cranbrook Academy of Art, and this led me to visualize cleansing thoughts through materiality and process. And then I found hair has potential to embody both mind and matter. In my sculpture, I tie hair lengths together piece by piece into in nearly invisible form, which represent ineffable thought and subconscious mind. Also, hair evoke matter through its visceral, tactile quality, and also it is literally a trace and product of the human body. As for technique, I wasn't so interested in weaving until I started to use human hair. So I played with my hair in my studio for a while and tried to find ways to make various forms and images. So to be able to make semi-transparent work, I work with the spacing and rhythm between each strand of hair. For my wearable hair sculpture, I make one knot and then make the next, like hand knotting a fishing net. And for some other hair sculpture, I create handmade loom, and then I thread my needle with the hair and weave the hair together into a mesh, much like traditional hand weaving technique. And I really appreciate the aspects of meditative aspects of hair weaving, but sometimes it's hard to realize some project. For example, I've been working on making a wearable hair sculpture for years, and I have only knotted together 5 feet out of 30 feet. So kind of time and physical endurance, very challenging aspects of my process. It can be both sculpting and weaving. For example, the skull. I made woven hair meshes using a weaving process. And then I used a plastic resin skull as a form to follow. I cut and stitched the meshes on the surface of the skull and then removed the resin skull carefully later. And I think working on 3D versus 2D, it's not so different. For example, in my painting series, I create composition of grid, geometric shapes, and circles with repeated hairlines. I use acrylic medium to cover the hair grid and let it dry. So I repeat this process and create 3 to 5 layers for each painting. So you can see different layers of hair grid within multiple layers of acrylic medium. So there is a little bit of space and depth in the painting. I think everyone is spiritual with a pure love, pure consciousness, and infinite being. We have just forgotten because of the human condition. So for me, spirituality is a journey to remember who we really are. And I like to think that my art is a journey to remember who I really am. So back to the human condition. According to Buddha, human existence is full of suffering. And the root of all suffering is craving, the attachment to the desire to have and the desire not to have. So Buddha taught that to alleviate all suffering, we need to practice our non-attachment and control our desires. And meditation is one of the practices to become aware of our craving and desire. And I follow a Vipassana meditation technique. It begins by observing natural breath and continuing with close attention to the body sensation. But some spiritual teacher said that it doesn't need to be a specific form of meditation. We can practice in everyday activities while being fully present in the moment. So I experience my processes such as weaving, knotting, and recently sewing, and also my performance art as forms of meditation. One of my durational performance work, Web of Life, is a great example. Like a spider drawing the thread from their own body, the hair comes from my body and made into thread. I use my body to hold the proper tension upon the hair and circled around the spindle. Through gestures of repetition, slowness, and silence, I felt subtle movement of hair sculpture, hair thread, and like temperature changing and light changing, and felt the breeze in my body, and I was totally in the present. So through this performance, I also invited the viewer to slow down and pause, hopefully transcend time. So I hope in this way my performance allows people to deepen their own awareness of the present moment. I've been reading how environmental disruption, climate change, and deforestation disrupt the global ecosystem, causing this type of virus, COVID, to spread to humans. And it likely will become a more common occurrence if we aren't aware that humans, animals, and the environment are interconnected. Also, if we don't recognize we are inseparably interconnected, no matter what the color of our skin, nationality, and ethnicity. Many scientists and spiritual thinkers have found several similarities between quantum physics and spirituality. In physics, the act of observation changes which is being observed. And in spirituality, our thoughts create our own reality. In other words, our mind can affect the matter. So if we want to change the reality or the world we lived in, we need to go to the origin or cause in our mind. For example, there is an ancient Hawaiian prayer, I am the I. The prayer was recited to cleanse negativity from one's mind and thought. This is also based on the teaching that there is nothing separate from ourselves. So cleansing a negative thought inside changes the external world. I think of my art as a manifestation of my mind and thoughts that influence others in a positive way and change the world. So in my video and performance, I try to visualize cleansing my thoughts and memory, not just only my personal memory, but also collective and shared memory through meditative process. Also, I try to cultivate an awareness of oneness through my work. For example, in my painting, Empty Void, I use circle as an image of oneness. Painting evokes the interconnectedness of all things and the harmony. Also in my sculpture, a fragment of a thorn, feathers, seed, and animal bones can simultaneously represent a personal memory I had, but also some memory any viewer group had, but also can represent our common life force connecting to each other, to the land. So this is sensing thought number 5. In meditation teaching, it is often said that our thoughts are like a cloud passing through the sky. Meditation helps us to observe our thoughts and memories without judging. So in this sculpture, I try to envisioning thought cloud and fragment of memories. In sensing thought number 1, I made woven hair boxes to represent a glimpse at a memory in three-dimensional space-time. because our memories are always relative to a certain time and place. So I put a thorn fragment within the box, which represents a memory. This is crown of thorn. I am interested in exploring the teachings of Christianity, Buddhism, and Taoism. For example, according to the Bible, during the crucifixion of Christ, a crown of thorn caused him pain. And yet Jesus was willing to endure the pain and embrace the rejection. In Buddhism, suffering comes from humans' own deluded state of mind. In order to realize the nature of mind, first we need to accept the effect of suffering and observe it without reacting. I decided to make a crown of thorn out of my hair that represents impurity of mind, which causes our pain. And I made a performance video titled Crown of Thoughts, featuring this sculpture. In the video, I show the process of enduring and letting go as a way to purify the mind. This is the skull. I am inspired by the idea that life is nothing more than a dream, often found in Buddhist and Taoist thought. The skull made from my hair is a potent symbol of life and death, which became a subject of a video titled Dreaming of Life. Also, the transparent quality of the skull represents temporality and mortality. The offering bowl is a series of 7 bowls made of hair and natural materials, including milkweed seed fiber, feathers, and found animal bones. Inspired by a traditional Buddhist practice, making an offering of 7 water bowls is antidote to greed and attachment. My offering bowls represent realizations about the nature of existence, showing us that transient and impermanence are part of our life. When I relocated to USA, I realized people here understand Buddhism in a different way than in Asia. I think Buddhism is very formal religion and tradition in Asia because it has a long history, complicated ceremony, and complex text. But here people seem to understand Buddhism as a philosophy, not just only formal religion. So people can easily integrate Dharma practice into their daily life. If I were still in Korea, I wouldn't have chance to learn about Buddhism. Even though my parents, my family members are very open-minded to other religions, I attended a conservative Christian church where learning other religion was discouraged. So moving to USA gave me a chance to explore others. And it helps me to deepen my practice as an artist and open my perspectives. When I see artists that I admire, I notice there are 3 factors of success. One is making great artwork that inspire people. Another is financial sustainability. And finally, recognition, showing their work in museums, galleries, internationally. So for me, last 2 things may take a long time. So I focus on making great artwork. I try to listen my inner voice every day and continue to make artwork with dedication and focus. I hope my work shares some insights and gives some inspiration to the audience. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you can have a chance to visit Korea Society for this exhibition.